Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Freestyle TV. What a great episode we have prepared for tonight. I'm super excited. But before we go deep down into business, Daniel, my homeboy, how's it going? How are you?
But it's going really well. It's going really well. I'm happy we kept our promise to have an episode every 2 weeks on Thursdays. So, yeah, I don't want to give away too much yet, but man, I'm super excited with everything that's happening. Both in freestyle, as we said it last episode, we're getting back to normal. We can get into it later, but yeah, I'm very excited mostly about our two guests from South Africa today. So I'm excited. Yes.
All right, all right. Yeah, for sure. I'm super excited also. Uh, let's first catch up on what's happening in the freestyle world right now and what has happened since we went live last time. So last time we talked about Red Bull Street Style. So that is becoming reality, I would say, rather soon. So the first national qualifiers, they basically start tomorrow.
Yes, you're right. So we have 3 months of qualifications in about 60 different countries, I would say. And the first batch of around 20 countries are going live tomorrow. So if you
Yeah,
haven't registered yet for the countries in April, check the WFFA website for which countries they are. Register now because time is running out. We probably can give you 1 or 2 extra days, if you've forgotten to sign up, but sign up now before it's too late.
absolutely, absolutely. And I don't remember exactly how many countries we have on April, but a very large number of countries.
Yeah,
And
it's around 20 per month. So we have 3 times 20.
yeah,
So 20 in April, 20 in May, and 20 in June.
yeah. So it'll be super interesting. Of course, always it's kind of slow start with the qualification clips, and then the judges get the put them to order, and then the battles start, and it's round of 16 or top eight or whatever in the beginning. But anyways, a month from now, we'll have the first national qualifier champions.
That's it. And I really like the new setup this year with going to region qualifiers. So for the people that didn't see the last episode or the episode about Red Bull Street Style, in a few words, I'll explain it. So first we have the national championships, and then we're going per region. So continent for continent. So that means that the best Europeans are going against together, the best Africans are going against each other, etc., etc. And also what new for this year is that even the women are going to compete against each other in so-called regional qualifiers. So yeah, it's going to be good, man. I think it's gonna be even a higher level than last year. So yeah, it's going to be good.
Absolutely. Then other news from actually last weekend. There was a competition in the Netherlands called
Yes.
Masters of the Movement, and here we can see a little bit of the final. It was Mathieu against Aki, and and uh, looks super cool, doesn't it?
Yeah, I like the collab between dance in general and freestyle football because sometimes people think, oh, we're too much with football or not, or yes or no. It's always this discussion. But I think events like this prove that we have a lot in common with the dance, the art, and the music world. So I think it fitted in really well, and you also can see the respect from the break dancers and the other way around. From the footballers to the dance guys. So yeah, it was really a sick event. So shout out to Guido from the Netherlands, who's always, setting this up for the freestylers. So yeah, amazing. And
Yeah.
also, it was Aki's first victory ever. Aki's from Japan. He's always been out there in many tournaments, but now I think he's studying in France, so he lives in Europe. So yeah, he had the chance to go to this tournament and he won it. So yeah,
Yeah.
big up to Aki for winning.
Yeah, absolutely. I must say, do you remember when there was the previous Japanese champs, and I was like hyping, oh, I saw this guy called Aki. He was
Yes, I
like so
remember.
impressive.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah,
It was
now
your
he,
favorite. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, and now he's in Europe, so I'm excited. I really hope to see him in Super Bowl. And also, if someone's thinking, where can I see the battles? Go check out Flair 20 TV. He's posted
yes.
all the battles from Masters of the Movement. But all right, guys, let's move on. all right. So, like we talked before we went live, we don't want to like talk too long in the beginning because the guests that we have for tonight, just the magnitude of the impact on freestyle globally is huge. Oh my
Yes.
God.
Yes, yes, yes. And when we're gonna get them to the show, they're probably gonna bring it down. They were like, nah, nah, nah. But yes, it's true. And these guys are the creative master of the old days. You know what I mean? They're the
Yeah,
pioneers of African freestyle. Well, we can go on forever, but I think it's time to just to chat with them.
yeah. What, like said, one video tells more than 1,000 words. So let's have a
Yes.
look.
Hi, I'm Super Syed.
Oh yeah.
It is I, Kamalio Evil. But this is my video. Enjoy. Till next time, I'm Super Syed.
Oh man. Welcome,
What a
guys.
video.
Welcome.
Thank you so much, guys.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah,
Man,
so
we
happy
were
to be here.
thinking about how shall we introduce these guys, but I think like this was a good start because this video for me says everything that like I mean we do a video of Kamalio later as well, but like you as a duo, you know, as they say, this is what it's all about, right? It's like fun, it's acting, it's sports, it's like everything, right? Or no?
No, it was always Super Syed versus Kamalio Evil. There's
Yes.
always this rivalry.
It's always theater, Daniel. It's always theater, man.
No, but it's nice. We can go a little bit deeper into that later on because I think sometimes, like in let's say 2022 versus 2010 or six or whatever in the old days, it felt like it was more like that. Felt now it's more training clips, right?
Right. Yes. Yes.
Mm.
Yeah. I think back then, well, I think when we made that video, the competitions and stuff just started. But before that, it was all about the clips that you
Yes.
put out there. Like
Yeah.
when we first started, it was all about. I mean, you guys just showed this thing called Masters of the Movement, and it just reminded me of Mod G, Masters of the Game. I was like, wow, that was like
Yeah,
that
yeah,
was
yeah,
like
Yeah,
it
yeah.
was that was like the first like I guess competition that came out. It was so exciting, and then that was a time where well we didn't have YouTube and all of that, so we always posted on soccerclips.net, and then after
yes,
that
yes, yes.
found
Forums,
yeah
the forums.
yeah the forums, and
Yeah.
then I didn't find the forums because my first exposure to freestyle was that soccerclips.net where I think I saw Abbas Farid random clip. We did a chess tour to
Yes.
like to a next door, and I was like, this is insane. What the heck? What are they doing? And then that was it. It was just posting videos, having fun. That's what it was about.
Nice.
Nice. Uh, well, like how are you guys? You know, we already went. We went already like
Yeah,
straight into
I
the
went straight
business.
into it.
Yeah. So we well, thanks. I think we're a bit dated now in some ways, but I mean there was a great time. As Ed was saying, I guess we weren't as serious as I think the freestyle has become a little bit more serious, which is great because I
Yes.
think it needed that level of sincerity. But I guess back then, we freestyle was still a new thing. We weren't sure where it was going, what it was becoming. So for us, it was really just about having fun and putting something out there that made people laugh or made something about it that was memorable. But I mean, we pretty much still the same. I think in many
Nice.
ways of what we're currently doing now. Obviously, not as active in the scene, maybe a bit more behind the scenes. But we well, man, and it's always just spectacular to see what's happening in the freestyle world and all the new freestylers that are coming out doing things that I guess back then we never ever considered was possible.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
So how often do you guys see each other back then and now? Like, do you guys still see each other often, or how does it work?
Yeah, I think back then it was every day for sure.
Every
We
day,
basically
yeah.
train every day. We'd see each other but we train like 2 hours every day, 2 to 4 hours, and then we have like a game of pana at the end of it. And I think the score was probably like 100 to him and maybe like 4 to me. And then, and then we go have McDonald's or KFC because we wanted
Oh
to gain
yeah,
some weight.
classic
That was-
freestyle meal deal.
Yeah.
We were trying to get gains at that point
so
through
we're like,
McDonald's.
McDonald's the only way we can gain. You could see how skinny I was. I wish I could go back then.
And now, do you still see regularly?
Yeah, I mean, recently not as much, but I think there's just been the past few weeks. But generally, we do try to meet up at least once a week.
Oh,
Apart
nice.
from work and everything else. So I guess that still stays there, and I know Sayed is still quite involved with making videos and that. So you obviously ask for assistance with that, and I'm usually part of that. Whether I have a choice or not is another matter.
Story about life.
Yeah.
Basically, I've
Okay.
always been like, let's make this video, and then Kamal's like, okay, yeah, and then that's how
Oh,
it goes.
so you're the one that comes with the ideas, or?
I think most of the time, yes. And then the nice thing having Kamalio is that he's always game. So whatever stupid idea you have, he's
Yeah.
you know? And we're doing that for like the past 15 years.
Yeah, I guess very few of those ideas actually work, but that's the whole point of doing
Yeah.
stupid ideas, is that eventually one's gonna work,
Yeah, we're waiting for them to work.
This is so good.
Before we show the next video, when did you guys like start freestyle?
It's a bit of a difficult question because I think I guess like if you define what like a freestyler is, like for
Yes.
me,
Yeah.
I think it was like 2002 when the
Okay.
first World Cup happened. It was the first time I think I saw some freestyle. So I saw the around the world for the first time then, and then I just remember like first I sucked at school. Like I was the worst football player there. And our school, like if you were good at football, you were king, and I was basically like a slave. So no one respected me. So then I remember during the 2002 World Cup, that Ronaldinho does like around the world, and then I come to school, and then everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, you see this move that Ronaldinho did?" And then I was like, "I have to learn that move. I need to go up the ladder a little bit." And that's when I started practicing.
So, do you know him from Kamalio? Do you know him from freestyle or before from school, or how do you actually get to me?
Wait. So he basically used to stay across the road from me. So we were neighbors
Yes.
from a very young age, probably like 7 or 8.
Yeah.
So Sayed's about 2 years older than me. So I think at that time he was about 9, I was 7.
Yeah.
And then we grew up across the street, just playing street soccer, whatever. And it's been since then. So even prior to freestyle.
So we always tried different sports. Like we actually quite into cricket initially. And it's one thing, like, whenever we played different sport, I was always ahead. So cricket, I was ahead. We played volleyball once, like for a week, I was ahead. And then a few other things. But as soon as we started football, this guy just took off. It's like, I couldn't keep
It's good to be stuck with football. So when I think back, I don't know which year it was exactly, but I remember the moment as clear as day. It was the Nike Stickman commercial
Yeah,
with
Mr.
Mr.
Wu.
Wu and Ronaldinho.
Yeah.
For me, that I think Andrew was also in it. Andrew Argent. Yes.
Yeah, from France, the bold guy.
Yeah.
And for me, that was the one clip or advert or video, whatever it is, that set everything off. Because it was just everything about it, just the energy, the vibe, the moves, everything. It was just something that really appealed to me. And I think from that moment, it was like, man, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
Plus, it helps that we actually learned around the world. And when I did it at school, things changed,
Yeah, you're the cool guy.
People respected me. After that, that's when I think that motivated more. It's like, whoa, these people are respecting me, and everyone's like, what? This guy, say it, he sucks. How's he doing? And then I think that motivated me train. And obviously, we sort of compete against each other.
So on the first date with your wife, did you do a few around the world to impress her or no?
Yeah, actually, I think the first time she saw me, I was freestyling. It was some picnic we went to, and then they were like, "Oh yeah, this guy he freestyles," and I went.
Man, picnics are the best. Picnics are the best to casually show off. Like, I'm just here, I'm not really trying.
Well, they announced my name, and there was like a whole big thing. So,
okay, so it was a performance.
Yeah, so it's a performance.
Nice.
Cool.
No, I thought it was just a picnic with family, and you were like, all right.
These things are never by chance, Daniel would say. It's always planned,
There's a strategy.
Okay. Okay, so well, I mean, I must say you guys are like a beautiful story. It's like 2022, you know each other for longer than 20 years and still like great homies. So the Nike commercial, it was 2000 maybe 7 or 6.
Yeah, I think it was 2006, 2007, somewhere around
Something
there.
like that. Yeah, because the Masters of the Game was 2003. Yeah, something like that. Yes.
Right. Okay. Well, so you've been in the game basically almost since the beginning. And just last question before we go into the next video. So you two have been neighbors since you were like so young. So where's your backgrounds at? Like, what was the neighborhood and where? Obviously somewhere in South Africa, but
So,
what are the backgrounds?
So without giving too much information here, because you never know who's listening, it's quite a funny suburb within Johannesburg, quite far from the city.
The funny thing is just the fact that you say it like that means you live in South Africa, because in Sweden where I live, nobody would say, "Oh, I'm not going to tell my suburb because I'm going to get in trouble." That's a very South African answer, actually.
It's happened more than once where your mobile number's been left at the end of a freestyle video, and then you get all these random calls of people like who want to learn and stuff, and you have no idea how it gets out there. But I guess that's just South African people. They quite they're quite enthusiastic and passionate. But either way, so it's like it's a neighborhood probably about 7 or 8 k's from the city, out of Johannesburg, and it's sort of, I would say, lower to middle class neighborhood. A lot of kids at that point, just playing on the street, playing soccer.
Is it mainly from Asian descent that live there, or is it
mixed?
Okay.
Mixed. So there's all kinds of people. Which was, I mean, we had one neighbor who was always like, when we started playing soccer, he was way better than us, and he'd always make a fool of us, he'd pan us, do that, whatever. And then eventually, we caught up to him. And so it was nice. I mean, it was a really nice way of coming up, because we'd play like all sports basically just in front of the house, because we stayed on a dead end road, so there wasn't much traffic or anything. So it was very quiet and nice. And I mean, after that, we tried to find spots. I guess like any freestyler could probably relate, a nice training spot is really difficult to find. And if you find one with good lighting, especially in the evening, which is not too cold.
And there's no security chasing you away.
Yeah, security guards is like a whole other thing, man,
Yeah, and no one watching, because you get frustrated as well. Because if people are watching, it becomes a show.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like I was telling him the other day, it's like, it was the thing, like we're training, and all of a sudden someone walks past. You don't even know them. And then it's like, I need to show my fancy moves.
Yeah.
Then you don't think about training anymore. You're just showing off.
I think all the freestylers have been there, man.
Yeah.
I'm still there.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Imagine how bad it is for like Erland, because he has to do like a whole crazy routine every single time he trains. That's probably why it's that good, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, the reason he's that good is because he has a brother that is that good.
Yeah.
I guess if the brother's always watching, he always has to pull out his fancy moves.
Exactly.
And like vice versa for Brinja as well.
I wonder how they hide moves from each other.
They probably train on different sides of the house or something.
No, they do. Like they have a rule because we did an interview with them as well last year, and it's like if they have a new trick that they come up with in the next competition, the brother is not allowed to use it. That's the only rule they have.
Okay.
So they have to wait one competition to use it.
Well, that's good. At least have
Okay,
Imagine like one of them is like he uses the move and then they hate each other.
If that was me and Syed, we would both go for that move.
Oh, nice, man.
Okay, well, I see this discussion is directing into freestyle. So let's watch the next video and talk a little bit more about freestyle because there's a lot.
Yeah, man. Freestyle is live, as you said. You were like, I hope he's not going to ask anything about that. No.
Yeah, I hope so, man.
Kamal was just saying how he was sleepy during that interview.
Yeah, man.
And then everyone thought like, oh, he looked like he was about to cry.
It was hectic, man. He stayed up that whole night. It happens every time we have a freestyle meet or competition. The night before everyone's leaving, we don't sleep, man.
Yeah. And also people overtrain always. Always
Yeah.
I don't know, where was the interview? I can't remember.
That was in Lecce.
Oh,
Yeah.
Lecce. Okay, Lecce was cool, man.
Yeah,
we get to Lecce later. But my first question is like, Kamalio, you're like known for a person with a lot of style. Is that something that you've trained at, or is that a natural thing? Does it come natural to you?
So, I think for a long time, much like Syed, I was never the good soccer player or the good freestyle. A lot of the stuff or the level that we got to was mostly just, working and training. And I think it became something that was more spontaneous result. And I think one thing which is very strange, which I think Brian Lockyer, a freestyler from Cape Town, pointed out, was that whenever I was freestyling in jeans, right?
Yes.
So what that done was, in some ways, he says it limits your movement. So your movements become a lot more smaller, more precise. So you don't, it kind of cleans it up in some ways. And the only reason why I had always wore jeans was because I have like twigs for legs, and they're quite hairy. So I never ever want to, like, I could never rock up in shorts. And then, if you go into like a soul store or something,
Yes.
and then the shorts pull up, it just made me very awkward. So I'd always try and stick to long pants, and I just felt like, the jeans also looks a bit different. So I think having those limitations, and a lot of it just came sort of natural from, but I think a lot of the influence also comes from a lot of these South African freestylers that are here.
Yes.
Um,
Because
and
a lot of the
yeah,
South African, I call it the Krishna Kwana juggling. It's dot,
yeah.
dot, 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 when you do twice with the one leg and then the other one. It's a very South African thing. You know what I mean?
Mm. Yeah, yeah, you're spot on that. It's something that we, I mean, generally, South African people love to dance, man. We're
Yeah,
like
it's like,
big fans of house music, and so it's always this little like offset of the rhythm, like, so it's not this consistent thing. There's always a little bit of a nuance in it, and I think we picked that up, I mean, we were the only people, like, we were sort of isolated here at the bottom of Africa. So it was just us around that could freestyle. We didn't really attend as many meets, and when we could, it was awesome, because you never, like, you only see these guys in videos, and then here they are in front of you freestyling. It's like surreal, it's like meeting a celebrity.
wow,
Yeah.
nice. Actually, I have the same question, but to you, Sayed, but more about the creativity. Did you say like, oh, I'm gonna create some tricks, I'm gonna train creativity, or were you guys just messing around and suddenly were like, oh, an SS orbit, or how does that process go?
I think it's a bit of both. Actually, a lot of the time I'd get frustrated because I couldn't do a lot of the mainstream moves, like no touch. I tried so much. I got it like,
Yeah.
I think like 6 times in my entire career I did no touch, and twice on
Yes.
video, and that was it. So then I was like,
Frustrating.
a lot of the times it's like, because of frustration, okay, fine, let me make something new, which to me actually was a lot easier than to try something that someone else was doing. Which I think it's easy in certain sense, but it's also difficult because you sort of going to uncharted territory. So it's a lot of, I think it's a very intellectual battle at first, because you're always questioning, can I do this? Is this possible? Or
Yeah.
it wasn't like that big move, so it's not like obviously it is possible, but I think it's just that balance. And then usually I think I also got like a dopamine kickback whenever I did a new move. And it's also the community as well, because I know, like, when you post something new to the community and then the response is always great. So I think that's probably what motivated me a lot. It's like, okay, let me try and make something new. And I guess that became my thing always. It's like, because I think I got lucky with the SS Orbit the first time. I mean, it's basically an obvious move. It's like around the moon, but from the chest.
Yes.
But no one did it, so I was like, okay, let's try it. So,
I find it a really difficult move to do, actually, to execute properly, at least.
Yeah.
yeah, I still struggle with it. It hurt my back many times.
I have funny story about SS Orbit. I was somewhere with Daniel in Super Bowl or something probably, and I was like, the SS Orbit, like, what the hell is the name anyways? Like, what is the SS? And then he was like, Super Syed. And I was like, what? And he was like, yeah, Super Syed created it. And I was like, oh, it makes sense. Okay.
I was like, I have to put my name in there somehow.
Okay, Syed, I want to ask you an honest question, and you have to answer this one honest. Did it frustrate you that Kamalio became the famous one? Was that a frustration with you?
No, not really. But what did frustrate me was training. So basically, what happened was, there was like at one point I remember, like, we'd train every single day, and then like we'd train together every day, and then I'd go home and train as well.
Yeah.
And then like I'd get to a point where I'd get close, I'd get really close, and I think this guy picked it up, because in like 2 weeks later he just took off again, and I'm sitting there like, why? It was like, I don't know if you guys watch Dragon Ball Z.
No, I know. Yeah.
Okay, so there's Goku and Vegeta, and Goku was like this natural, and then Vegeta was like this guy who worked really hard, and it was always like that. Like, Vegeta gets close, and then Goku all of a sudden, out of nowhere, just becomes even better. That's what this guy was like. So that's what frustrated me.
Yeah. Because the reason I ask also is because I think you're heavily like underrated in terms of, for example, yesterday I'm seeing this Shimo clip. You know Shimo from Poland?
Yes, yeah.
I see his clip. and he does this trick that you did in the video, like a petroleum or whatever. What's it called?
Premium.
Yeah.
Don't look up the definition, Daniel. Whatever you do, don't look up the definition.
It was PWU named that, by the way.
Yeah, but I'm
Yeah.
like, that's a Syed trick, but nobody knows that. So you know what I mean? A lot of people don't know that you actually created a lot of the trick, like the sailor. We can joke about it, but I see other people doing similar things, and I'm like, come on, that's a Syed trick. But they don't.
Yeah.
I don't think they actually know that.
All right.
Yeah.
I think with the fame thing, I was actually very happy when he got famous. Like, I think I didn't have any like till now. Like I was when he got to Red Bull 2010 when he got to the final. Like I think I was
Yes.
praying the most for this guy. I called home because I'm religious. I called
Wow,
home.
I couldn't vote. I couldn't vote for him.
Yeah, because you're versing him.
He beat my ass. So yeah.
Oh, only by a little, Daniel. I don't think it was that far. Yeah. It was,
No, it was good. That was fun. It was my
It was
favorite
amazing.
battles of all time. So it was so good.
Yeah, I mean the whole energy of that was just it was completely different, man. But I also think say it in my if I have to counter what he's saying, I think there was a point at which he became a bit more lazy. And that's but I think it worked out in the end because he really enjoyed it. Like he got to go to like the World Cup final and he was doing all of these cool things, and I was busy training, man. So I was like,
Yeah.
But no, I mean it was awesome, man. And I mean it's always great when you when you say when you're battling someone a friend, it just makes it that much more enjoyable,
Good question. By
But-
Eli Freeze, the legend.
Yeah. But before answering that question, shout out to Eli Freeze. I have to ask this question because otherwise I'll forget. So just like Daniel said earlier, like freestylers like Zumo are using the tricks that you created so long ago, and like I said in the beginning, the impact on freestyle that we see on 2022 that originated from the moves that you've created. How does it make you guys feel? Because of course, there's a lot of moves that have been developed a couple steps further, but the first inspiration came from the things that you do. So how do you feel about that?
An answer first.
Well, I think for me, the one thing is, well, at least from Kamalio's side, it's kind of clear, like, the moves that he created sort of had, like you're saying, it started a few things. So my tricks, I don't think it caught on as much. So I would have liked if it caught on a lot more and got developed further. But like on that, like when you see someone else do, like I remember when someone else did the SS Orbit the first time, I was actually like really excited. Well, the first time I did it, I was actually a bit upset because I think Nam the Man did it, and then all the Vietnamese freestylers were
like the flip, like the kick flip or something. The flip.
No, that was his. That he made.
Okay.
I took it from him. Yeah.
No, he took that. He took that from Gerbeshi.
Oh, really? Okay. Because I
Yeah.
remember watching that clip and I messaged it and I was like, "How do you do this?" Because I really wanted to learn that.
Yeah.
But then he did the SS Orbit, and then I remember like all the Vietnamese guys were sharing like, "Oh, he made a new move." Then I was like,
Yes, I remember he did that at combo. Yes.
Yeah. Like now I actually don't care so much, but back then it was like a thing. Yeah. But like for Kamal's tricks, like you can see, like this, he sort of developed a style that going further. There's a lot of people who follow a certain. It's weird. It's like not even just the trick; it's just the style itself has, I think, evolved quite a bit.
I really enjoy seeing people take the tricks and build on them, and I think that was really the point of it. Is I mean, whenever we try and do new tricks, I always saw it as like not like labeling it like this is my trick, or
Yes.
but it's just an exploration of an idea. And I mean, for even the rake, like for example, that's not what I named it, but that obviously came from Hacky. So I had a weird name, like which I found of some Dutch cigar called the Schimmel Panic.
The Schimmel Panic. That was one of my questions. What's Schimmel Panic?
So I'd always find these most obscure names because for me it wasn't really about like trying to build a reputation there, but just to put an idea out there and to see how it's received and how people take it and how they change it and make it their own. And I think you're beginning to see that now. I look at someone like Ibuki, for example, and I'm like I'm absolutely amazed at like how he can do this, how is this dexterity, and sometimes it just starts with learning just one trick, and then building on that one trick. So it's always fascinating to see how that one trick almost how can I say it almost what would be the correct word? It almost disperses into a whole different set of
Yes.
moves, you know,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
it's beautiful, man. It's nice to see.
Yeah, so you mean in the case of Ibuki, he's so perfect at the clipper that his whole style is built
Mm,
around it, and and it shows as
yeah,
well. It looks
yeah.
so natural to him.
Mm.
Okay, now please answer this question. What's your hardest trick?
You go first.
First of all, hats off to Eli Freeze. Honestly, he was one of the first guys I saw on the Nike website.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
won
Yes,
that
man.
Nike competition when he did
Same.
the swirl,
Yeah.
and I was like, that's impossible. How they like that? They blew my mind. That was yeah. For me, I think the double orbit, I nailed it once,
Oh,
and-
yes.
but that just hurt. It just hurts your neck, and I was like, after that, I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. I got on
Wow.
camera once, and that's it.
I think the helicopter looks even better, I think.
Oh yeah, but I think I figured out the technique to that one. It's
Yeah.
a bit easier than the. It's not. It's less straining on your neck.
So double orbit is like lemons.
Yeah,
Is it?
like that.
Yeah.
It wasn't clean.
Nice.
Like when I did, it wasn't clean, but you know. I'll take it.
Well, if you can nail that like unclean, even I can picture how hard that is. Okay, what about
Yeah.
Kamalio?
So you know, I mean, this is obviously tricks that we've tried, and we've you know, it's not just like I can't just say PATV because I still haven't landed a PATV. But I would say a trick that I found quite challenging, which I didn't end up really ever doing again, was the underworld. It was sort of like a half ATV and then around, and you do like an ATV around your heel. It's in.
Oh, yes. But
Yeah.
didn't
It's
you
just a-
do
it's
that
too
one
late.
in like at Rebels Freestyle?
No,
You
no,
did
I've
But
actually
what was
never
it? With,
done.
what did you do against me? That was also very
You did
cool.
the Krabbus. You did
Yeah, I
the
did a,
Krabbus.
I did a, I did a crab.
Krabbos,
This is
yeah.
different. This, yeah, I mean, it was in one of the videos, and that was the last time I actually did it. And then there was a combination I was trying from there, but I never really ended up nailing it. So I think at some
Okay.
point the moves just became quite difficult, where it, like, essentially when I'd only ever landed once, and then it became an issue because you could never use it in battles then, because you'd never be able to land it, or I wouldn't be able to
Yeah.
land it. Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way,
This guy.
Two
in the final
questions.
against- Okay, yeah, go on.
okay, go ahead. It seemed like a good story.
Yeah, in the final against Azun, he tried a PATV. You've never seen a PATV before. Like, why did you go try
You
a
know-
PATV?
You know, all I can say is you got to live in the moment, you know.
Yeah.
If I had nailed it, I would have been more happy in landing the PATV than winning Red Bull or whatever it would be. It would have been cool, man. Anyways,
That's
I guess,
crazy.
you know, I'm just that type of person. I just risked it because it's sort of like, why not? Yeah. Sorry,
Alright.
Pega, you were saying?
So yeah, first question: Crab-ass ATV. Did you guys name that trick?
No.
I don't know where it got named.
Yeah, I'm actually not sure myself.
I think it might have been PWG
Yeah.
as well.
Okay, yeah.
Oh.
So yeah, I think PWG, man, is just like created so many of
Yeah.
the tricks and the inventory, and I mean, he's like
Even now, like
absolute
until
legend.
today, I mean, it blows my mind. I mean, he's been freestyling the same time as we have, and we've like sort of withered away, and
Yeah.
he's still going so strong. Like
That's so impressive. Like going to the top is one thing, but staying there for 15 years, crazy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And with the PWG, I think to just understand like where he comes from is like if you watch one video from every year, then you see like because that guy is basically built on original moves. He and
Yeah.
Holmberg, oh my god.
Yeah.
So then the other question, like, and this is such an important thing for me because I was the first one to do it in Finland with football, the Kamalio move or rake or
Yeah.
what was the name you had for it?
Schimmel panic.
Schummelpennig. So
Yeah.
so I remember that like I think that was the trick that kind of took off in the freestyle
Yes,
scene when
definitely.
when it came out because like it was something that was even for a freestyler rather difficult to comprehend. And how did you like? Did you see it? Because it's originally a footback trick, and I'm pretty deep down also in footback. So how did you like get the inspiration to do it with the football? Was it like you saw some fullback player do it, or what happened there?
So yeah, this is quite a funny. I mean, Daniel pointed this out to me much later on. I actually didn't know. I mean, I never used to follow footbag, so I never knew that it was a trick in footbag till he actually pointed it out. And I was like, wow, man, these guys have been doing it way longer. What happened was, it's actually it was an idea that we had. So you have the normal. What would you call it? The reverse of it. Where you just drag the foot around, and I'm not sure what
Slap.
it's called.
Slap.
It's
No,
no.
Oh no, wait, when you do like reverse Kamalio.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the name. Reverse Kamalio move.
Chris, so with Chris, when we were training with Chris, when I first met him,
I mean, the
he used to do
Kutnikwana?
this. Yeah, Chris Nikawana. So
Yeah.
he'd first do the reverse Kamali. We do that quite often, and we all started doing it. And we just experiment, and whenever we were like warming up for a show or whatever, and he actually spoke about this idea. He's like, what if you reverse it and you could like just scoop the ball? And then after that, it was just really like a matter of trying. And after some attempts, it's like one of those moves it's quite difficult to get consistently, but you can get it by luck, if you just keep
Yes.
trying as well.
Yeah.
And then it's possible. So it was just essentially, it was an idea he actually kind of started, strangely enough. And then from
Nice.
there, we were just experimenting and doing stuff.
Chris had quite a
Yeah.
few good ideas. Even the name Lovely Boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Came up with.
I mean, for him, I think because his style was grounded. I mean, he also wasn't like sort of hardcore inclined as a freestyler. So his thing was always to try and focus on something that's more controlled move or creative move.
Yeah.
So I mean, we all had ideas, and say, what if you could do this? So likewise, if there's something I felt I couldn't do, but I had an idea, I would speak to one of the other guys who I felt maybe might be able to land it.
Yeah.
And I know that's been the case with like Mikolai from Poland, and also with Shimo. Like there's things like moves which I saw them do, and I was like, wow, I've kind of had that idea, but they've actually done it in a much better way. So it's
Yeah.
interesting,
Yes,
it's just about sharing the idea. So I must say, like Chris played a part in that. I can't
Okay.
completely take credit for it. And then later on, I found out Hakisak, it was actually way before us.
That's so fascinating, man. Like because I was always thinking, so like, is there a chance that like in South Africa the freestylers would like be inspired by footbag? But that seems so off to me because like
Yeah.
I'm not aware of any footbag players from Africa, but there might be, or maybe they saw it online. But on the other hand, it's even rare trick in footbag. So how could that be? But now I have finally the piece, man. And I must share one more story. I was watching some Red Bull Street Style recap with my brothers, and so this must have been after the 2010. So I had been freestyling not so long, and I told my brother like, "Hey, check this trick out. This is a trick that I guarantee I will never be able to do." then when it started like becoming popular, I like inspected it, and when I did it, I was thinking like the words that I said that I'll never be able to do this, and I did it. I can do anything.
Yeah, I think we find out. I think as freestylers, we all find ourselves in that. It's like if you think about like if you think of your like journey from when you started freestyle and like versus now, it's like you can't see my hands there, but
And
it's like
I even remember the tricks that are super simple right now, like soul juggles. You can learn that in 20. Now you can learn that in 20 minutes. But I mean, if you're freestyle, of course. But when I saw Mr. Wu doing that for the first time, I was like, this guy's an alien. Like,
I was like, this is
possible.
impossible.
Yeah.
And then you do it. It's not even that hard, and you're thinking, why did I come up with this? Like, so funny.
And I think that as freestylers, like it's so interesting that we evolve in a like it's such a psychological thing. Like it's just belief. Like you can't do it just because you believe that you believe that you can't do it. As soon as you like, I mean, just by seeing someone else do it, that already like gives you belief. Like, oh my gosh, this is possible. It's like for me, like when the first time I did Around the World, well, for me it was like I was practicing. I couldn't get it. I don't know how this guy did it. So he does it, and we didn't see each other for like 2 weeks. So he comes to my house, and And then the first thing he does around the world, and I'm like, oh my gosh, he freaking did it. And that day he goes home, and that same day I did it as well. And I was like, why? Like, how did that happen? But it was just belief. It wasn't, that was the first step.
Well, since you guys are, I would say, freestyle intellectuals, like you might have said in the beginning. So I've had in my mind this kind of theory, because like if you look at Erled, like it's unbelievable. And then we have people like PWGs and Jesse and Sumo and especially the like younger guys that we saw in the youth championship last year, Becca and Marco from France. I've thought this theory that like now when there's more freestyle, like there's so much more freestyle surrounding us, so the information is kind of easier to adapt for the freestylers who started something like 2-3 years ago and are now getting to the level where they can like skyrocket. They learn faster, like harder moves. So what do you think about this theory? It's that
I think
freestyle.
you're spot on. It's like if you think about it, like say if you go 50 years back, you might have just had it around the world. Maybe some guy by himself has done maybe 2 or 3. I don't even think someone did a LATW. But because everybody, and I think this is not just freestyle, I think this is a phenomenon in lots of subculture sports, is that because ideas were shared so quickly, things evolved very quickly. It's that we're basically sharing belief, we're sharing techniques, and the forums were the first of it. Like we shared our ideas. I mean, if I think about why me and Kamalio at one point, we could have easily said we're the best in South Africa because there were no other freestylers. But why were we in that position where we did so well compared to everybody else? We're trying. Everybody was trying. But and my answer, like I was thinking about it, my answer was like, it's because I found access to the forum was at the time expert
But
football.
also, it's not just the information; it's also the sense of belonging.
Yes, exactly. And then it's an accountability because now you feel like you're part of the community and you like have to show up a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's how it changed. And I think now what's happened is because videos weren't available then, so people didn't see it, so they didn't get exposure. Now people are getting exposed to really hard moves very quickly. So now Daniel, you've seen like some of these African kids doing PATW like it's nothing, and they look like they started like maybe 5 months ago.
Like, they're like 12 years old.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, I've been trying my whole life, I haven't got it once, and it's because for them, their belief starts at a really high level versus ours, like relatively is like started quite low. And I think that's just going to keep going higher and higher.
I think there's a downside to this as well. It can limit creativity as well.
Yes, that's true.
I mean, I agree with the point. I think it's like one of those nature versus nurture things, when you constantly surrounded by freestyle. So say, for example, if you go to Super Bowl, one of the other major competitions, and you're constantly exposed to this high level, it's almost like the average level is automatically gets higher. And I agree with you. When sort of the pathway has already been laid out, what's possible. You already, and I think when people are starting freestyling, they always the first step or the natural step is to try and emulate someone who's doing well or someone that you like. So you begin building those basics already, and I think it's interesting in that way. But one freestyler that I have a lot of respect for, and I think has had a more difficult journey purely because his style, I guess, is very different. Is Martin Schoff, from Austria.
Oh, yes.
I think of him. He's a good example because sort of the moves or the combinations that he would do is exactly on the lines of, I guess, when we started freestyle, or all of us in general, when we didn't know if something was possible, there was no groundwork for it. You had to figure out the technique, and that exploration into the unknown takes a lot longer because that's uncharted territory. And I've seen him over the years, and he's developing, and he'd always like there might have been drops and there might have been things, but I've always found it fascinating how he went on this own journey in a completely different direction.
Yes.
And he developed some, like, I haven't seen a freestyler like him, and he's one example. I'm sure there's many others, but just the one that comes to mind immediately. And I really respect that guys who find, it's like saying you enter the forest of adventure, and you can follow the paths that have been laid for you, or you can create your own path. And I think sometimes creating your own path is where the real adventure is.
Wow. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
No, I mean it's yeah, you're completely right.
Yeah.
That was
This is
really like what after Gandalf says something, I'm just gonna be quiet for a second.
I got it written on my wall. I was just reading. So
yeah. Wow.
No, but it totally
Okay.
makes sense, man. Totally.
Yes.
I think you said it really nicely. I always find it hard to put the words. You don't the words for it, but totally, yeah.
Go for Dutch, Daniel. We understand Afrikaans. And we'll get you
Afrikaans,
completely.
geen
Yeah.
probleem, ja.
Hoe gaat het?
Hoe gaat het? Ja, gaat goed.
Okay. Actually, we touched upon the Red Bull Street Style 2010 in South Africa a couple times this already in this episode, but let's go back to the 2010 and the Africa. Like you said, unbelievable vibes. I always remember from the like after movie, there was this one kid in the crowd who just like went straight up, "Jah!" like Super Saiyan in the crowd when
Well,
and
Peggy,
yeah.
that video that we showed the other day in one of the other episodes, we showed the video from Habib versus Farouk, which is from side.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you know, but Sean, he met him last week, Habib.
Really?
Yeah,
No.
he lives in the UK. He plays football there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because
I
after
knew
Red
it.
Bull Street Style, he went to Chelsea and played for the youth academy. But now I
that's
think now he
amazing.
plays on the lower level. But anyway, yeah, that's
Yeah.
really
But
cool.
still, that's still quite cool.
I heard he was playing soccer in Chelsea, but I'm glad that he's found his way there. Man. It sounds good.
He's a king of.
Oh, sorry,
chocolate,
Peggy, I interrupted you, man.
After
Yeah.
Um,
Sorry.
No worries. Like, there's probably a lot of stories from the World Final in South Africa, but let's just like try to wrap up the battles all the way to the final. So, what kind of emotions, what kind of vibes, what was going through your head because you were like on the home ground. So, what was going on in your mind back then?
I mean, so for me, I guess it was quite a overwhelming experience in the beginning because it was the first big competition, I guess, that I participated in, and I had no clue what was to be expected. And so I think like any other freestyler, you have nerves, and you don't want to like eat, and you just want to sort of warm up, try and get in the zone, and just to sort of stay there. And I know for the first qualifier battles, I think that was my most shaky moment because I went onto stage and I saw there was like this amazing crowd, and they were all obviously because you're the local guy, you probably get the biggest cheer or whatever. And I found it overwhelming because it's like, wow, all these people are here, they're here to support me, So I couldn't at that point. I found it very difficult to process and focus. But fortunately enough, the qualifiers went well. And then when we went into the finals, I think the thing that was kind of stressing everyone out was the wind, because that
Yes, man.
evening was like super windy, and there's like talk about how if we could postpone the event because a lot of the guys felt like it wasn't the right condition to actually have a competition, and I can understand that the wind was very strong. So I found that the first battle, after I gotten kind of used to the crowd, I found the first battle was always the one you're most nervous about, because the way you start that sort of creates a momentum or trajectory moving forward.
Yes.
And I think by the time it built from that point onwards towards sort of quarters and semis, the nerves slowly start going away. And then you reach a point where I know when I was in the final with Azun, the only thing I was thinking at that point, and like for me, it wasn't like really about winning, because prior to the competition, you saw all these amazing freestyles. You saw like Pale, you saw Rocky, and then these guys, and you're like, holy shit, like these guys are amazing, dude. Like, and you're like sharing a stage with them. You just feel like this is just like, that's a freaking privilege in itself. And I never actually thought I would get that far. So when I got to the final, I was like, yo, this is going to be like the most amazing 3 minutes of my life. I'm just going to go for it, enjoy it. And to me, the outcome doesn't matter. And that's why even when the battle was over and they were raising the arms, like that felt like the longest 10 or 15 seconds ever. But it was just absolute bliss, because to me, I'd already gone past what I expected of myself. So I was happy. And obviously when Azun won, that was amazing. So I was really happy for him. And I'm glad that it was such an incredible event to be able to share that with everyone. Like I often think like that and every other experience that I've had, whether it's been at Super Bowl or Lecce, wherever it is, just being around the guys and freestyling. I mean, that for me was the prize in itself. The competition was just something that was a side effect of it.
Nice. Okay, that's pretty beautiful recap of the 2010. We're getting close to the end of the broadcast time, but a couple words about the current South African scene. We know that there's our homeboy Ashley is doing magnificent job as the WFFA key leader in South Africa. But what's your guys' perspective of what's happening in freestyle in South Africa?
I think it's there's definitely great talent out there. Like I saw Emilio here in the chat, that he's definitely like one of the top guys. I think in South Africa what happened was prior to 2010, the momentum was really nice, and I think it was Red Bull. It was all mostly because of Red Bull, because it exposed a lot of people. Very interesting thing. I was like, when we first went to the first Red Bull competition,
And the World Cup as well, probably.
yeah, and that actually really helped because all the corporates were behind the World Cup, and then they're like, oh, would we hire? Okay, these guys can do tricks. So obviously a lot of people, but I think there's pros and cons because a lot of people got into it as in like, we just want to do shows and didn't really get into training. I didn't like freestyle intrinsically like we did. And there's also competition. So a lot of people were just training for competitions.
Yeah.
And so at that time it was like really nice. And then, and the sad part is as soon as the World Cup ended, like we saw like this drought almost. It's like show wise, there were not really shows and stuff like that. And competitions also sort of slowed down a little bit. And then they kind of discouraged a lot of people. So I think that momentum sort of died. But then the nice thing is I see that, I think last 4 or 5 years, 4 years maybe, like it's been coming up again. I see a lot of guys, a lot of like kids as well. And I think it's also because of like you're saying the exposure. So because and I guess like channels like yours, like I'm a football freestyler and all of that, it's like people are seeing, they're getting exposed to it. So people we don't even know about that, are freestyling. They probably don't even know about us. It's like that. So it's like a whole new generation.
But do they? I don't know. I didn't understand your last thing, but they don't know you guys, or?
I don't think so. I
Well-
don't think they know about us.
Yeah, maybe
They're exposed to like the new stuff. They probably don't even know that we exist.
Yeah, I mean,
true,
Which is a great thing.
props
That's
to-
also why we do this.
Yeah. That's props to you guys.
Yeah, I mean, that's the exposure is important. And I think, Ashley has been trying really hard for the last while. I mean, I think the competitions that are coming through him and the WFFA and everything is pretty much the only competitions that are happening. I mean, there's been the odd one here and there. And that gives, a lot of the freestylers hope, because for a lot of them here in South Africa, like they don't really have a way of making a living. So they depend a lot on freestyle and basking. And I mean, when you're putting that much work into something, there's no payoff. It becomes hard to stay motivated on that note. So I think it's important that the competitions happen. And I think after 2010, there definitely was this dip. And there's this whole moment of uncertainty, this period of uncertainty where freestylers like basically are not sure if they should continue pursuing it or not. And I think now with, things becoming a bit more sort of, let's say, official, especially, the competitions and everything, it's allowing them to actually have more confidence in the sport, in actually pursuing some sort of career in it. And it's always amazing, just to see new freestylers coming. I remember the one moment, which was also like quite a blue note moment for me, is the last South African freestyle competition that happened pre-COVID in 2019, which was also organized by Ashley. And the venue was just a really awesome venue somewhere in the city. It was this mall that had sort of this 3-story.
Oh yeah, I saw the recap video.
Yeah,
Didn't you make that?
Sayed made the video for that one. And so as usual, Ashley will always contact me to be a judge, and I'm always happy to help where I can. And I remember watching this competition and just judging it. And at the end, just like looking up at the people and the stands and thinking that's sort of where my journey began when I won the first South African Red Bull competition. And it felt kind of weird in some ways that this was my turn to pass on the baton to a new generation. And it's their time, to now go and explore the world and freestyle and just get on the map. And in some ways it was quite sad, but it was like bittersweet, but
Yeah.
beautiful, man, to see a new generation taking it up and seeing the whole freestyle game evolve. Murchit, yeah.
Yeah, I recognize this double feeling. Actually, I've been there as well.
Mm, mm. It's
Yeah.
strange, isn't it? But
Yeah,
it's
it's a bit
kind of
strange.
pleasant.
Yeah,
Mm,
I actually had this in. I remember in 2011. I mean, let's not talk about me too much, but anyway, in 2011, when I was judging that competition in Malaysia,
mm.
Yes,
I was the
yes.
first time was judging, and in 2010 I was still competing, and in 2011 I was like holding up, someone's hand or
Yeah.
judging someone. Is like felt so weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're still quite active into it.
Yeah, still quite active, and there's a part of me that thinks there's always a part in your brain that thinks I can still do this. And, yeah, I mean now I don't think that anymore. Now I don't definitely.
We need to all get back into training.
Yeah.
They should have an old school freestylers competition. And
Actually,
and
we've talked about this a lot already.
really,
Yeah,
just don't invite PWG as long as he's not there.
Yeah,
And
he-
Shimo,
he doesn't
as long as
sound-
they're not competing at the moment,
Yeah,
yeah.
retired.
Because
guy.
PWG would take it, and I don't think so. We have
Yeah,
to
what we
invite
do is
everyone,
before the
Miran,
competition, we do a body fat percentage test. It has to be over 20%, and then you can.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh, come on, Daniel. What about those of us that work out? And
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
This
I
guy
don't look too
looks
fat.
like-
I'm good, but
Yeah.
Wow. Well, like my jacket is empty, man. Like,
Yes.
this has been, like, I kind of anticipated. This has been an absolute pleasure to have a talk with you guys, and I hope that the people who have been watching this, I hope there's some new generation freestylers online, because like the things that we've heard today are like more valuable than diamonds, I think.
Thanks, man.
Definitely, man.
It's been so enjoyable. I'm sad that it's already come to an end.
Yeah.
It was like,
Yeah.
That hour just flew by, but I mean, it's always absolute pleasure just getting to chat to you guys and
Yeah.
being able to engage with the community. I mean, it's not something I guess we get to do very often, so we just treasure, having this little interaction, man. And hopefully, there's one freestyler out there or someone which hears it and decides to become a freestyler or do something. And I mean, that's all we're looking for, the little wins here and there, and they add up
Yeah.
over time.
Yeah, I think that's what like every freestyler wants, and what's important, like for me, especially as like someone who's like somehow keeping a hold of like freestyle career, like training every once a month or something, and like try to
that's
get
great.
people into freestyle. But
Yeah.
okay, this would be the last question of the show from a viewer. What would be your advice to guys wanting to take up freestyling as career, or freestyle in general? I'd say.
So yeah, that's a tough question. My first question would be, how much do you love freestyle, man? Because I think it's one of those careers where you don't always get a payoff immediately. It is very, very competitive as well. I mean, as you said, just to get to the top and stay there is very difficult. My advice, and I think it's just practical advice, not really so much. So I would say, if you can, don't make it your full-time career. I mean, be passionate about it, do it, train as much as you can, but having some sort of other thing that you can do, which you're not completely dependent, whether it's like fly or die, really gives you like a cushion to be able to enjoy the sport and do freestyle in a different way. Whereas I think when it just becomes about your career and like, I have to do this, I have to make, if I'm not successful, you end up putting so much pressure on yourself that you don't really enjoy it, and you don't actually do it to the best of your ability. So my advice is do it as a hobby. Start off as a hobby, and do it as much as you can. Enjoy it, and if you really feel that you love this thing and this is what you want to do for the rest of your life, and you're finding a way of actually like making a living, or you're doing well at competitions, and go for it. But it's a very, very steep road, a lot of humps and bumps and accidents and
But
detours.
I think that's the beauty of it, though. Like, just my take on it is that it also depends where you live. Now, obviously, if you have opportunities there to be a professional freestyler, then by all means. But obviously, not every place is like that. But I think just go for freestyle, but and like Kamal said, do other things as well. And honestly, especially if you're young, you have the time. You can do all of it. And the thing is, the lessons that freestyle will teach you, I think that will carry on with you throughout your life. So if you get into something else, I mean, especially if you want to be like a top freestyler and you get there, the psychology that it teaches you, and like the resilience that it teaches you, and like even till today, I still think about how certain things are difficult, and I'm like, yeah, but I freaking freestyle, that was a lot more difficult. So it's easier for me if I do this. So I think, yeah, just like Kamal said, just take it as a passion. Do it first. Do it as a passion before you even think about it as a career.
Fully
Nice.
agree, man. Fully agree.
Same. I have friends that are musicians, and they once said that when you're playing music to try to get money, then the money doesn't come. But if you play music like you mean it, then the money might come.
Yeah, exactly.
That sums up perfectly.
Yeah, exactly, man.
All
It's
right,
like they
guys.
say, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thank you for everyone watching this show. Thanks, Kamalio and Super Syed. It has been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
And next Freestyle TV in 2 weeks.
Guys, last question. Any suggestions for a new guest before we wrap it up? Who do you would like to see on Freestyle TV?
Us or the viewers?
No, I ask you guys. I ask you guys.
Oh,
Does it have to be a freestyler? It has to
Anyone.
be okay.
I mean, I don't think Mandela will show up. So, I mean, yeah.
I would like to see either Miran
Yes.
or Rocco.
yes. As a rocker, yeah.
Actually, both. We should have them together.
Yeah. Yeah. They were,
I
mean,
like,
they
like what I
completely
hear,
different.
man.
That
Yeah,
would be
yeah.
a fun interview, I think.
Two very different perspectives. Yeah.
Yeah, especially at the after party.
Yeah. Yes.
All right. We'll message this guys right away. Ask them to join us in 2 weeks.
Cool.
But also my speech is starting to sound very, very tired, so it's time to wrap up. But one more time, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you for
so much,
having
guys.
us, man.
Thank you,
Really
guys.
enjoyed it. Happy to be here.
Thank you,
Awesome.
guys.
See you guys.